Braylon is going to talk about what the team did during the bye week, talk about this weekend's home game versus Hawaii, and then we'll take some questions. Go ahead, Braylon.
Start off with the bye week. Man, it was a great bye week for us. I feel like we got better over the bye week. A lot of guys got good rest in. I feel like we got our bodies back, and we're ready to go for this game. For the game, the seniors is our last game, so I feel like the team is going to really rally around us so that they can send us out the right way. And it should be a good weekend for us going into so we can get bowl eligible.
You have any thoughts on these guys that you've been with a lot of years, the senior group, Braylon? These come to mind when you think about the guys?
A lot of things come to mind, man. This is a great group. We're all brothers. We treat each other like brothers. We'll do anything for each other, you know what I mean? When we treat each other like brothers so much, and when we get on the field, it's so much easier to play next to the guy, you know what I mean? So that's how I feel about these guys.
In your own personal situation, you're up for this walk-on award this year now. Were you recruited by a lot of other schools, or how did you end up at Utah State as a walk-on?
Well, out of high school, I had about 10 to 11 offers. I was committed to Arkansas State coming out of high school, but my eligibility, I wasn't eligible when I graduated, so I had to make a decision. Either I would go to JUCO or I had to sit out a full year to be eligible to play for Arkansas State. So Coach Shaver called me because I was recruited by Utah State during high school. But Shaver called me. He said, if you can get eligible when you come up here, you can play next season and have a chance to get a scholarship. So I took that chance and I just ran with it.
It's interesting. We played Arkansas State a couple times.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Braylon, this really is a kind of a rarish opportunity to on senior day have a chance to, as a senior, to a clinch bowl eligibility. Just how special of an opportunity is that?
Man, that's special. That's really special. Guys don't get that opportunity a lot. You know what I mean? It gives us a chance to play hard. Hopefully guys will play hard. I know guys will play hard for this. This is our last chance. You know what I mean? And I know guys will play hard. They're going to put their hearts out there on the field for it. And it's just a special opportunity to be able to become bowl eligible at home. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a good thing.
Did you do anything in the bye week towards Hawaii, or do you just kind of on a regular weekly schedule for that?
Yeah, it was a weekly schedule. We did Hawaii prep, you know what I mean, but this week was predominantly towards just rest, getting our bodies back, getting 100%. So that's what this week was really about.
Have you looked at anything about their defense? I mean, it looks like the defense has given up quite a bit
Yeah,
of
exactly.
yards. A lot of people have had a lot of yards against them.
Yes, sir. They're a zone team, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of windows open. So I feel like we should have a big day throwing the ball against those guys.
What's it been like for you, particularly, I guess, offensively, where you've had the changes of quarterback and all those kinds of things? It's been hard to continue to adjust, or you guys things are ramping up to where you want to be?
I feel like it's going good for us right now. We're on the up right now. So as an offense, we've been clicking over the past couple of weeks. So we're right where we want to be right now.
No, it wasn't a great offensive game though last time.
Oh yeah, last week. Yeah, it was a little slow last game for us because there was a lot of missed opportunities. You know what I mean? A lot of guys were not in the right spots. So, but we cleaned it up and we should be good this week.
So you spent a little time during the week of doing that, probably.
Yeah.
What workout you did do was more of just like going through or making sure that type of stuff more than physical.
Yeah, yes, sir. Just mental. It was a lot of just mental reps. Just making sure guys know their assignment 100%, and just being ready. You know what I mean?
To my knowledge, Tony's the only one that's had a season-ending injury. Do you feel like you guys are a little more healthy this time of year than you were the previous 2 years?
Oh yeah, absolutely. When you only have one guy that's down, that's good. Because football is a dangerous sport. It's a very violent sport. So I feel like we've been healthy this year, and I feel like we have more guys than ever. You know what I mean? So.
Anything else for Braylon?
Thank you, Braylon.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate your career. Nice job.
Gage will recap last week's bye and what the team went through. Talk about this week's game against Hawaii, and then we'll take questions.
So last week we had our bye week. Obviously, it's great for our team. 10 weeks into the season, it was, I wouldn't say as much needed, but greatly appreciated. So I think that it was really good for us to have it, and it came at a really good time for us. You know, we got our 5th win, looking to get 6 here. Another big win for senior night in our last game at home here at Maverick Stadium. So the bye week was great for us. I think everyone feels a little bit more refreshed and refocused, and kind of got that hunger back to go out there and play football again and get a win for our seniors this weekend.
Gage, this is a pretty big week for you personally. Mountain Crest win the state title on Friday.
Yeah.
You have a chance to become bowl eligible.
Yeah.
I mean, how much do you live for weeks like this?
I mean, it doesn't get much better than this, you know. A lot on the line. You said Mountain Crest has a chance to be state champs. I've been watching them and keeping in touch with some of the coaching staff, and I know some of those players personally, so I'm excited for them. Hope they do well. And as far as for us, I mean, every win's important, and every game's the most important game of the year because it's the next game, and so you don't want to think too much about the bowl game. Obviously, that's the end goal, and we want to be there. But every win's important, so we just need to take care of business this weekend and do what we do.
So Mountain Crest 2012 was the last time they had a championship game?
Correct.
Were you there?
Yeah.
Did you play?
Yeah, I played on defense and offense.
So you
yeah.
played in that game. Were you
Yeah.
a junior then? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
No, double overtime?
I believe it was double overtime.
was.
Yeah, with the view. Yeah, it was.
So little on Hawaii's offense. I mean, they don't have a great record, but their numbers are pretty strong offensively.
Yeah, you know, I haven't broke down or watched a ton of film. Actually, headed there after this. But from what I've heard and talked with our coaches about, they got a few good weapons, some solid people, and they're capable of putting up numbers if you let them get going, I think. But I think it's something if our defense, if we do our job and play how we know we can play, I think we should be able to take care of business with their guys.
St. Just is the 7th leading rusher in the nation. Their little guy who's
Yeah.
5'8", 195. You
Mhm.
know, so he's got to be probably quick and go.
Yeah,
or something.
I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to bring Hatch to the ball with him and wrap up for sure.
Yeah, but like Jeff mentioned, their stats show that they 440 yards a game or 430 yards a game. They look like they should be scoring more points than they are in some ways with what you see. But
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I haven't watched a ton of film on them yet, so I can't comment a whole lot about their offense right now.
how satisfying was it that maybe you as a defensive group kind of got that last win against New Mexico when we played, and how well you played that day against a good offensive team too?
Really satisfying, especially just because we were put in some bad situations as far as field position, and I feel like we were against the wind the whole time. We couldn't really get ourselves out of there. I feel like we had our backs against the wall the whole time. We were able to come up with big turnovers and big stops and big plays to keep giving our offense the ball back and keep them from capitalizing in the red zone and scoring. So I think it was a huge game for us. I think the defense really showed up. I think we really played well. It was really fun just to be out there with those guys, and even when the offense had a turnover or something, everyone was just excited to go back out there and play defense because we were playing well and we were having fun. And those are the games you look forward to, especially on defense. Is just when it doesn't matter what the offense is doing, if they're scoring or if they're giving up turnovers on our 20. We're just excited to go out there and play defense. That's kind of how it was, And so it was a huge game for us as a defense. I think it gave us a lot of confidence and a little bit of swagger going into these last 2 games.
There's a bunch of guys in your spot in the secondary at safety who played. It's kind of interesting how the year's gone. I mean, you're playing and then some other guys get hurt or whatever, and how it's worked out. You've like been in there probably as much as anybody almost at safety, I'd have to think, by the end of the year, haven't you?
Yeah, I'd probably have to agree with that. We've had a few guys get banged up and a few minor injuries, as well as Wade, who hurt his knee and has been out. But that's kind of how we kind of expect it to go. A lot of guys were going to play. We've been told since spring ball and through the summer and the fall camp that we're deep, and we're going to use that to our advantage, and I think we've done that, and it's worked out for us pretty well.
Yeah, I think maybe I've asked you this before, but does it make any, is there really there's two safeties, they say, and I guess it looks like sometimes there might even be three of you in there sometimes. Does it make any difference where you play? Do you have to play one safety spot, or can you play both, or play anywhere?
All the safeties know both positions. There's the free safety, and we have our boundary safety. I started the boundary, and that's where we try to keep me for the most part. Some games, depending on the offense, we'll move. When we played New Mexico, we played with 3 safeties in the game and had 2 of us play the overhang position. But it just kind of changes week to week. For the most part, though, I play boundary, but I can play both, yeah.
Dave, what's like from the perspective of underclassmen, juniors, sophomores, and freshmen, what's it like going out there for senior day, knowing it's the last time you're going to have a couple of your teammates that you've been with for several years? This is the last time that they're going to sit out that long.
You know, it's hard to say because you're not a senior and you can't relate what it feels like to be a senior out there. You know, the only thing you can go off is just kind of how your senior night felt in high school. And I remember before that even, everyone was saying, you know, go out there for the seniors, let's get a win for the seniors, you know, all that talk. And, you know, I did that, but I never really knew how important it was or how big of a deal it was. And so I can imagine just in relation to how I felt, you know, my senior year in high school, you know, at the college level, that it is really important to these guys, and that they definitely want to be sent off the right way. The time and the commitment and everything you invest to be here and to be a Division I athlete and a football player at Utah State, I think it's, you know, the time goes by so fast, and to be here at your senior night and to think that, you know, it's the last time I'm playing Maverick Stadium as an athlete, and I mean, I can't really imagine how they feel. I can a little bit, but I'd imagine that it's going to be emotional, and they're going to want to be sent out the right way. And I think that everyone's going to come together for them and put together their best game for them.
Do you have any personal thoughts about 2 of the seniors that most people really watch, is Dallin and Jalen, who play kind of in the secondary with you? Anything special about those guys?
You know, something that's special about those guys is that they work very hard in the off season all year round. Those guys work very hard. They're very disciplined, but they always want to have fun. They're always joking around, smiling, and you know, they don't really complain about anything. And so that is special about those guys. You know, they enjoy the game of football, and they're a really good example to everybody around them of just good football players and good people, you know, outside of this building and in the classroom as well. And so those two are special dudes to me. I've really enjoyed playing with them and getting close to those guys, and so it's going to be a big deal for me to come out for those guys and make sure we get the win.
Now, what's your dog going to do when down has their dog move away?
I got lots of friends with dogs. My family's got a lot of dogs, so he'll be all right.
In the back in like Mount West preseason poll, Dusty was picked last by everybody.
Yeah.
Voting in the poll, and of course you guys already exceeded those expectations. You have a chance now also to get to a bowl game, which I'm not sure that most people thought was possible. Is that something that the team like rallies around ever, about like how low expectations were outside of the program in the season and how well the team's done in spite of that?
You know, we've never really compared ourselves to that because, I mean, it was definitely something we talked about when that happened and when that was said. You know, something that was discussed that, you know, everybody in the Mountain West media or whatever, whoever they all were that voted, they all voted us last place, and it was something that we all talked about for a meeting that, you know, it was, we made a point that we all knew that, but it's not something we've ever brought up since then, and, you know, it's not something where we're like, hey, we've passed that level, because obviously we're not just trying to be better than last. You know, we're trying to be the best and the greatest we can be. And so I think it's awesome that obviously we've gotten further than that, but there really is no ceiling to how far you want, how good you want to be, you know. So that's what we strive for, just to always be better, and that's the way I look at it, at least.
else for Gage?
Thank you, Gage.
Thanks, guys.
Nice talking to you.
The bye week last week, preview Hawaii, and then we'll take questions.
Okay. All right. Well, I think, as I look at this week, coming off the bye week, I've thought before, not sure what bye weeks late in the year give you, but I know this. We are re-energized, and I think we've got a little bit of little hop at our step. I think, late in the year, a lot of teams get tired, and a lot of teams, I think, can start kind of going through the motions, or that they can get re-energized and refocused. And I think, and I'm hopeful that that's what bye week did for us last week. Similar plan to what we've done in the years past in bye week in terms of practice, rest, getting some of the youthful guys some reps, and getting a head start on your next opponent. We tweaked it just a little bit because it was week 11. And so, I think it seems like we had a really good lift this morning, so it seems like the guys, I think, have used it in the right way. Now the key is to how we practice this week. And coming off the bye week, going into Hawaii this week, this is certainly, I think, really no different than the New Mexico game for our outlook. Our back is against the wall, and I think our players know that. We control our own destiny. And this deal this week against Hawaii is really a couple things. Number one, we're looking for our first Mountain West win at home. Second of all, we're looking to send the seniors out with a win and play great and win a game, Mountain West game at home in front of our fans, but send these seniors out as a winner on Maverick Field for the last time in their careers. So that certainly is plenty of motivation for us this week. And, this is a Hawaii team on offense that can give you fits if you don't fit up the run very well. Their running back can get downhill in a hurry. He's over 1,000 yards and is a very good running back. Brown is accurate. They don't throw it. They're averaging a little over 250 a game throwing the ball. And he's been good. They got some good receivers, Colley, Barker. Those guys are good wideouts. And so certainly our defense coming off a New Mexico game to this Hawaii game, it's absolutely different and schematically about as different as you could be from playing the option to going to a team that's really going to throw it quite a bit, but they've done a very nice job running the ball out of the one back. And the kid is really strong and a downhill runner. And I think he runs through tackles. You don't see the first guy bring him down very often. So with that, it'll be a big test for our defense, a major test for our defense, to be able to kind of flip gears, change gears, and go to this type of offense. So with that, I'll go ahead and open up for some questions.
You talk about St. Just, he's only 5'8", 190 too, and you sound like
He runs big.
He runs with some power.
I think he's big. I think he's a big back. I think he runs big. He runs behind his pads. He runs close to the ground. He's got a low center of gravity. I think he runs like a big back.
Number 31 there, Mike, linebacker, leads the team in tackles for loss, and sacks. Is he kind of similar to Ross Chiller from New Mexico?
No.
Or what makes him?
They're completely different players.
Yeah.
That kid was more of a safety coming down and playing a lot closer to the box. Yeah, they're two different types of players. This guy is very active. They move him around. They've gone to moving around their linebackers quite a bit, and play out of an odd front, but are multiple playing four backers, and they're all over the place. Some snaps it looks like old school Arizona Desert Swarm defense, flex defense, with the way they line up some guys. But the kid's very active. He's all over the place.
Was Rolovich a guy who played for Tony? Was he kind of around Hawaii when Tony was doing that over there, do you think? Or
I'm not sure. I don't think so. No,
Okay.
this is
it's not that.
it's not related to that. Yeah.
I was wondering
Yeah.
if that's what you're getting to. But that, just by the numbers, they look like they should have scored more points than they have this year. I mean, moving the ball around. They
Yeah.
look like they really can be a really.
Well, they've moved the ball quite a bit, and they've done it, by running the ball and throwing the ball. They've put up some really good numbers on both of those. I'm not sure. I mean, I can't tell you why their points per game is not higher.
But are they explosive with their offense more, or would you say they're more passing it around?
There's
running?
when you see them move the ball, you see explosives. You see runs that burst through for explosive runs, and they're moving the chains. In terms of the passing game, you don't see a whole lot go over the top, but I think with what Coach Rolovich is doing on offense, and it's a controlled passing game. They do it, but Brown he does a nice job. He sits in there and he'll take hits. I've been impressed just watching him real briefly.
Matt, was there anything specific that you tried to work on with Jordan Love during this bye week?
He had a couple things that I know Coach Yost identified. We tried to quarterbacks are not guys that we take out of practice or rest during practice during bye week. We've never done that. For those guys to be able to get a little bit more individual work, but there's some technique stuff I know he was working on a little bit, and then trying to get ahead on Hawaii.
Doug's got this interesting note here that you're 13-3 with a freshman quarterback the last 5 years when they're playing there. So you've got stuff.
Bodes well for Henry Columbia next year.
But offensively, through 10 games, are you satisfied with what you've done offensively?
I hate when y'all say satisfied. Have y'all ever seen a coach satisfied?
No.
Okay, then stop asking, Al. You're the most veteran one in
but
here.
Are you then?
I like where we're at. I'm not. No coach is ever satisfied. But I like the direction we're going on offense. I like what David's doing with the offense. There's been times that we haven't been very successful, and we haven't played as well as I've wanted us to play, or him, and for that matter. But with where we're at, we haven't had Lawan Hunt's had a couple good games here lately, but we haven't had crazy good production out of the running back spot. We've had a rebuilt O-line that I think has played pretty well as the year has gone on. We've protected the quarterback pretty good. I think outside of Tarv and Dax, we haven't had, Braylon's played well, Van Leeuwen's played well, Nathan's played well early on, Vons has played kind of pretty good lately. But really, besides Tarv and Dax, nobody has really been a breakout performer out on the perimeter. So it's been a little, it's kind of, it's been good. And it's been, I think the move to hire David has been excellent. And what we're doing on offense, I'm all in. We're all in. And we want to play good, obviously down the stretch here in these next 2 weeks. But no one's satisfied with where we're at. You always wish the production, the numbers are always higher.
Well, then, you've mentioned this, but would you say that it's really, you come off a victory against New Mexico, but you get the bye week at this point. But it just seems like to me with where you're at with this team, it would have been just an absolute great time to maybe take one last, when you got back to 5-5, to go into these last 2 games. Mentally, physically, all those things. It looks like it lined up well the way it turned out.
It really has, and I've talked to our players about that, in a team meeting today, and we talked about it late last week. I would have at preseason and even early in the year hoped that bye week was a little bit more, mid-October. It happens to be right now. But like I said in my opening statement, teams at this time of the year, they get tired. They get drained, teams get banged up. What are some teams playing for? Pride. Well, guess what? We all play for pride. Every one of us play for pride. Everyone, the last game of the year at home, is going to play to send their seniors out as winners. But what is real and what is not real? And we have a real motivation in these last 2 weeks. I think what the bye week has done for us is just to help reemphasize that. And it's also got us healthier. I mean, we're going to have a lot of guys back. We're about as healthy this year as we've been since I've been the head coach. Very few season-ending injuries, and really only one, Ian, that we've lost for an extended amount of time. He's getting closer to getting back, so we'll kind of see that on him here this week. So I think we are re-energized and we kind of refocused, and you kind of watch the Mountain West this weekend and see what happens, and then you look at where you're at and you say, you know what, dang, I mean, we can really control our own destiny in terms of what happens in December, and so our guys know their back's against the wall, and we've performed well when we've had that challenge, I think, so far this year. So we're going to have to go out and do it this week, and all we're worried about is being 1-0 and beating Hawaii, finding a way to beat Hawaii here at home, and send these guys out as winners and win a Mountain West game in front of our home fans. That's all we're worried about this week.
What do you think of Boise's game?
That was a long game. You know what? I got a good nap early in that evening. I watched every snap in the second half, stayed wide awake, and the overtime. Crazy game, a lot of offense. And what an onside kick, huh? That thing was awesome. Yeah, tremendous kick by that kid.
The statistics would definitely suggest that Hawaii has been kind of shaking in many of the special teams categories. Do you feel that you have a definite edge in special teams heading into this game?
When I think in terms of special teams and what we've done, I think we've done a nice job in teams this year. I think we have created an edge for our team in special teams with how we've covered kicks, how we've covered punts. I think we've been pretty consistent. I think that's another area that gets overlooked with the health of your football team. Just got to have a staff meeting. We were going through special teams depth chart. Usually at this time of the year, it's who's healthy. It's, well, this guy can back up 4 spots or 3 spots. And, I mean, we've got legit backups. We've got more depth because of health and recruiting than we've ever had at this time of the year, which I think gives us a chance to be different in special teams late in the year.
Did you do recruiting during the bye week because of the early period? Did that come at a good time or anything?
Quite frankly, the bye week late in the year hurts us recruiting a little bit. I would have rather had it earlier because, in recruiting, you can only go to each school one time during the fall. From September 1 to the end of November, you can only make one appearance. So we got a lot of appearances done in September and early, those Thursday night games we took advantage of to go out on Friday and Saturday. And so this weekend we were a whole lot more out of town, or out of state, I should say. We did a little bit in state on Friday, but I would have liked the bye week to been earlier, to be able to have a little bit earlier evaluations done.
Coach, bye week
Yes.
has been pretty good for you the past couple of years. You're 5-0 in your tenure as head coach. What is it about the bye week that helps you to be able to play really great games in the next week? Because you have some really good victories against like Colorado State and BYU within those 5.
Right. I like what we do during bye week. I think what's different than some of the others, times that when I've been an assistant, is I think sometimes you grind them too much. I don't know if there's the right mix of off, getting rest, being off. Here's what it comes down to. It comes down to a mix between rest, between practicing for the next upcoming opponent and kind of getting a little bit of a head start, of practicing your fundamentals and techniques with your younger players, not just your red shirts or guys that are playing scout team, but the guys that are not, they don't have a tremendous amount of reps, but they're still playing. We always scrimmage on Thursday with the guys that are not playing very much. And then we have rest. But I think the key to the bye week is what you do off the week. Coming off that week, this week. I think this is the week that's the key. It's key for our players. It's key for me and Dave Scholes and our coordinators as we lay out what we're doing practice-wise, that we don't lose what we gained in terms of rest and an edge, a little bit of getting ahead for the next opponent this week. I think this week's important, and it's important for our players. I mean, the choices that we make and the investment that we make as our players is so important. I mean, and I'm talking about getting ahead in school. And people don't, wait till the end of the week and it all piles up, you're going to lose your rest. And so then you just lost things because you're stressing out about school. I'm talking about getting ahead, being an overachiever in school and getting ahead and all that stuff. And that's what I hope we do as a team. I hope we're mature enough to handle that. But I think the key to playing well after a bye week is really the week of the game and what we're doing on the practice field and how our players are handling it off the field.
A couple of questions follow for that. First of all, the graduation success rates came out this year, and Utah State ranked first from out west. Is that one of your most proud achievements?
Yeah,
Coach, for you?
it really is. Yeah, I'm very proud of that. The graduation success rate takes into account the guys that come here and maybe leave after a year, and so that number's not as high as I would like it to be. I know this, every senior that's gone through Utah State for the last 8 years, we've graduated every one of them on time except 2. I had 2 knuckleheads mess it up 2 summers ago. And this year, we've got 18 seniors. 13 of them are graduating in December. The other 5 are graduating in May. And the 5 that are graduating in May 3 of them are true freshmen that played in 2014. So they didn't have a redshirt year, and so they're right on track and graduating in 4 years. And the other 2 came in as a transfer, and the other one was a walk-on that we put on scholarship. So we're right on track to make that 9 out of 9. We only missed 2 guys. That's going to be over 200 and something players. That's what I'm very, very proud of. There's 2 promises I make to a recruit and his parents or parent or whoever's with that kid when they first come to Utah State. And the first one is I'm going to coach them hard and I'm going to love them hard. And that goes hand in hand. And then the second promise is that they will graduate on time. And that's one of the 2 things that President Albrecht, when he hired me in 2013, he said, Matt, keep graduating your kids at the same rate and at a high level. And the second thing, oh, by the way, win a lot of games. So I got hired to do 2 things, win games and graduate players. And I think from a graduation standpoint, I'm very, very proud of that because football's not going to last. It's not going to last very long for these guys. And some of these guys got 2, hopefully 3 games left out of these 18 seniors, and maybe 1 of them, maybe 2 of them. I don't know. Maybe if we beat all odds, maybe 3 of them get a chance to go and play a little bit longer. But we all know the stats and the percentages, and those aren't very high. So I think that, I'm proud of what this program does in bringing these kids coming in and taking them from young men to grown men and helping them get their education, not just their degree, not the piece of paper, but their education, which is a process of growing up. I'm very proud of that.
Right. And then going back to I talked with Justice T the other day, and he was mentioning a little bit about how you kind of balance rest and practice during the bye week because you don't want to, of course, get rusty.
Right.
Coming off a nice performance against New Mexico. How do you do that with like specific players and specific groups, knowing like how much you need to push them in that bye week and how much you need to kind of maybe back off a little bit and let them heal out?
Yeah, we take a lot of things into consideration. Real specifically for this bye week, number one, that we went 10 straight weeks plus 3.5 weeks of training camp. So, I mean, those kids had 13, 14 weeks straight of ball. So I took that into major consideration. Another thing is the amount of reps. We keep a running tab of cumulative reps. And sometimes, those guys up front, the O-line, their reps, they're not as much running as, say, a Jalen Davis or a Dallin Levitt or Jamarcus Ingram actually has played a tremendous amount of snaps for us. And you take all those things into consideration. You got to keep the conditioning level up. So while they may be limited in practice, we do different conditioning things, and Coach Scholes does all those. And then, if we're kind of working through a hurt, won't call it an injury because if you have injury, you're not playing. But guys that are hurt and banged up, we condition them different. And so we're just trying to be smart with it, and then kind of have a gut feel about some of those players. So there's a mix of all that, practice and rest and conditioning as well. And then we lift them a little bit more during that week. Good questions here. What else? Craig?
I understand you're not satisfied though.
I am not. Have you ever
I
heard
got
of?
out of it.
I mean, you got out of that. You took the.
Don Shula
I was.
here.
I tell you what, wasn't he? And there hasn't been an NFL coach since. We're going to end on that. 1972 is the year before I was born, right? 72. You got a Dolphins hat on. Have we cut the video yet? Yeah, 1972. Perfect. He was absolutely satisfied at the end of that season, wasn't he? Yeah. What else? Anything else? We good? Appreciate y'all coming today.
Thanks.
Thanks.